Good morning and welcome to Canning with a Purpose. And today we are going to be working on zucchini bread jam. You have an overabundance of zucchini like I do, then you may want to stay tuned. You may want to subscribe to this channel for future recipes. You can check out the overabundance of zucchini that I have behind me. It is crazy. We've actually picked 16 of them in the last 2 days from our garden. So this is the mess, some of the mess that we have, that we are up against. And of course I shredded the two biggest ones in this bucket for zucchini bread jam. This recipe came from Ball. We are using glass top canning jars today because I ran out of small mouth canning lids, or regular mouth canning lids, whatever you prefer to call them. If you're using these or don't know how to use these, I'm going to show you how to do that today. It'll definitely be fun to fill these vintage jars. Make sure you got no chips in them, no cracks, same as your regular canning jars. Don't want any of that nonsense going on. You're going to sterilize these the same you would with your regular jars. Okay, this recipe is going to obviously call for shredded zucchini. You're going to need apple juice, powdered pectin, raisins, lemon juice, ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, and sugar. Now we're going to need 8 cups, so I'm going to grab my shredded zucchini. My glass measuring cup I always go to. You're going to get some of the liquid out of this zucchini. And I'll show you what I mean by that here in a minute. Because all the liquid has went to the bottom of this bucket. So since I'm doing a double batch, there's 3 cups right there. I'm going to put that in the pan. And this is where we got to start squeezing out our zucchini a little bit at a time. I put the strainer in here so I don't have any go down the sink. And it don't have to be dry, as I call it. Just enough to get the liquid out of it. Or at least most of the liquid. Yeah, see why I put the strainer in the sink. I'm making a mess with it. Or not, you can use a zucchini for a lot of things. This year I may go and dehydrate some for soups. Pretty much the zucchini takes on the flavor of anything you're cooking it with, which is very helpful, especially when you got tons of it like we do. Alright, so we're up to 6 cups. I got my pressure canner going in the background because I made chili from scratch last night. It was almost a 5-gallon bucket of tomatoes that I went and got for the garden, so I boiled those all the way down and went from there. It looks like we're just gonna have enough zucchini for a double batch. If you don't want to do a double batch of this, if you do not want to make a double batch of zucchini bread jam, you don't have to. I used 8 cups of shredded zucchini. The smaller shred, the better. Let me grab my measuring cups. If you're doing a single batch, you're only going to want 4 cups of zucchini to do this. I'm going to add 2 cups of apple juice to this. Set that aside. Now, if you're doing a single batch, that would be 1 cup of apple juice. Next, we are going to need our lemon juice. That would be 1 tablespoon for a single batch. 2 tablespoons. Holy shit. If I can open this, of lemon juice. I can't get this, I bent the bottle. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I don't know where my measuring spoons went. Somebody was nice enough to move them on me, or I misplaced them, one of the two. Because I can't find them right now. I like that. They're in here. I'm gonna go crazy looking for those. Those are my favorite too. I don't like that. Okay, so the next thing you're gonna need is 0.67 cups of raisins. Well, I like raisins, so I'm adding as many as I want to. I can't wait to try, and I'm going to make, I shouldn't say try, I'm going to make some carrot cake jam. Carrot cake is one of my favorites. 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. This cinnamon sticks. Ooh, I did not put any in my jars. And if you're gonna do the single batch, it is going to be 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. So this measuring spoon set does not have the 1 teaspoon. It has a half. I have to do this 4 times. I know, pain in the ass. Alright, so there's that. Now we need nutmeg. GoPro, stop recording. Found a nutmeg. As you can tell, the GoPro don't even listen. So 1 teaspoon. So if you're doing a single batch, it's going to be a half a teaspoon. I usually throw a little twist on mine. You know me, I always got a twist. You gotta throw that little twist on that when you're canning it. I'm going to use cloves in this, so I usually put cloves in my zucchini bread. Not very much though, it goes a really long ways. So maybe 1/4 teaspoon, if even that. I'm going to turn my burner on to a medium low. And this calls for 6 cups of sugar. So a single batch would be 3 cups. And there's 6. We'll go ahead and get our spoon and stir that up. Let that cook up a little bit. And you want to make sure you stir this occasionally so the sugar don't burn. And since I'm doing a double batch, I need 2 boxes of pectin instead of 1 box. So I'm going to go ahead and add this now. The only bummer about living in the northern climate is coming up with ideas to can during the winter. That's the only downfall. Careful when you're shaking these like that. I've had one tear open on me and the pectin went all over the place. And it was my very last box. Go figure, right? I'm going to mix that in together. Get all those lumps out of there. There we are. It smells good. Smells just like zucchini bread. Alright, we're going to let this cook for a while and I will be back with you. You see how I'm stirring these bubbles out of here? It's not ready. Got some over here, a few over here. And I'm just stirring them away. Means it's not ready. When it comes to a hard boil, you're going to want to time it for 1 minute. Alright. I'm putting my jars in the oven. You see these here. I'm using these today along with some regulars. But I'm putting the glass lids to these canning jars in the oven. So, may as well put them in there now. Get those in there. Get those heated up. Bake and start. Check on our zucchini relish, or yeah, zucchini relish, on our zucchini bread jam. Looks good, don't it? Okay, I'm going to turn my burner up a little bit. Sorry, trying to make it a habit of hitting the rubber piece over here when I tap my spoon off so it don't annoy you. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. We're starting to get there now. Put my apple juice in the fridge. It's open. Oh, yes. And I found my measuring spoons. They were where I left them yesterday when I was making chili from scratch. Which the rest of that's in this canner. Got 10 jars of that. Not too bad. Grab my rubber seals. Now I have 5 jars in the oven, so I'm going to take these apart. Warm these up. If I get them apart, holy cow, there we go. I got 20 of these off Amazon. Throw them in the pan with water and grab my 3 large lids because I have those in there too. Get these ready to go on that burner. That small drip off there. I'll drip right off that spoon. See if I get it through again. See how fast that's dripping? It's not ready. Alright, we are finally getting somewhere. I can't stir them bubbles out of there. Means we are about at that point. Not quite yet though, but we are getting there. Use my phone and give it a little bit more light. I've already been into it, and it tastes exactly like zucchini bread. I'm going to have to make more of this because I know it's going to be a hit. At least in my household it is. We'll go ahead and grab a spoon just in case. Better safe than sorry. I'd rather test a couple times than not be exactly at that point. Whoo! Shit, that was hot. Pay close attention. Is it steady drip there? We're still not ready. Now you can also use a thermometer, digital. Stick it in there with a pair of tongs. Turn some light on this episode. See? It's a little hard for me to see it. We're at 206 right now. Or if you're not okay with using the tongs in a big pan like this, don't forget your pot holder. That gets a little too fucking warm for me. Take it like this too. And just hold it and let them, when it stops going up in temp, obviously you're not at that point. You need 220 degrees for jam and jelly to set. We're at 217 degrees right now. And that's without it touching the bottom of the pan. And 218, so we're almost there. I went and switched out pans so it was a little bit easier to see what in the world I am doing. Because it's a pain in the butt. And sometimes the size of your pan won't bring up the temperature for your jelly or your jam. So sometimes smaller is better. More pain in the butt. Because then you really got to pay attention so you don't boil over. But at least you can see what in the world I am doing now. We are at 210, so I'm going to pull that. Give it a stir. Now you can add your sugar in last if you choose to, which I suggest you doing. We're getting really close to our time, so I gotta keep an eye on this, so I'm gonna continuously do this until we're good to go. Okay, you can see that I can't stir this bubble out of here. And that means our pectin is ready. So let's start our timing for 1 minute. Constantly stirring, of course. I'll tell you what, this tastes exactly like zucchini bread. Oh my goodness. It is so good. It looks like somebody hid the shits or whatever, but oh my god, it's good. Looks can be very deceiving. Ahead, let this cook for a minute. Fill our jars. Put our rubber rings on, then fill our jars. Wipe them down. Get them in the canner. There's the pie trick, but I don't like the pie trick. Or pie plate. Pie plate or saucer, sorry, saucer trick. See how it's gooping down? Real slow. That's what you want. You want that to sheet off just like that. That means that your jelly is going to set. See if I can get my flashlight on that before it drips down so you see a little bit better. See that it's just sitting there? That's what you want. That's from the metal spoon trick in the freezer to make sure your jam and jelly is going to set. Yeah, my hand's a little shaky. And you see, right there is where it was coming off, so there's no chunks of zucchini sitting there. So, this is ready. Put all my stuff over here. I like keeping a couple extra spoons in the freezer. Ooh, almost knocked you down. That's not cool. Alright, so we have our rubber rings. They're still hot. So I'm trying to move around a little bit. Since my counter is dry, I'm going to get these ones off here. So I can work with the vintage canning jars, because those are going to take me a little bit. Because I have to stretch this ring on this jar. And with the temperature of the jar right now, it's going to be interesting. Ow. Doing the ow dance on my way through. They're not as easy to get on as everybody thinks they would be. Alright, go around that just like I did. Make sure this rubber seal is flat on here and underneath this lip. It's very important. You know, it would really help if I had finger gloves. I keep saying that and I haven't gotten them yet. Of course, where I work, you don't make a hell of a lot of money. On top of paying bills. See how those go on tight? It wants to curl up on you, which means that one is not on correctly. Unfortunately. I'm burning the shit out of my fingers. Unless it's just defaulty. Holy shit. I'll try one more time. There we go. We got her now. Right down closer so you see what I'm doing with these jars, because these jars are a little bit different than our regular ones. Just because it's not ball approved in our state doesn't mean that it's not approved in other states or countries. Let me rephrase that, in other countries. Alright, with these lids, you're going to set it on here. You're going to bring up this whole piece, slip this top bail on in that groove, so you hear that snap. You're not going to fasten that part down until you pull this out of the canner. This top piece prevents water from getting inside of it, inside your jar, but also lets the air out of this jar. So I'm going to put it in the canner, and I'm going to keep doing that. So I already have this one. I'll show you again. Let that drip off a little bit. Put a tad bit more in there, but not much. There we are. Get our glass lid. Oh, yes. Definitely wipe down your rubber seal. I did not do that on that last one. Don't pull at me. Set that on there. Make sure you got the right lid. That don't feel like the right lid. There we go. Snaps on just like that. Put it in your canning kettle as is. On the can, you see the condensation built up on that one. We're going to turn this on, or back on. Turn on the rear burner. I always do that at least once. See the old vintage jar right there? It's letting the bubbles out. This one's doing it pretty good. Well, it was doing it pretty good. So hopefully you got to see that. Alright, so I just pulled these out of the canner. So I'm going to put my gloves on. Kind of wish I had thinner ones for this, but I don't. And take this bale. And I'm going to push it down. Just like that. I'm going to let those sit in a boiling water bath once it becomes a full boil, as I call it, for 15 minutes, and I saved a little bit. I love it. DJ don't like it. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks much.